I'm pretty sure that growing up, a lot of young men went through a Transformers phase, and that includes me as well. I mean, let's be for real. What kid wouldn't want to see robots fight each other, like giant alien robots fight each other? That screams cool. Okay, so obviously I was in the Transformers, and when I was younger, I used to love watching Autobots whoop on Decepticons. Like well, look, when Optimus in that one movie was in the forest and he was getting jumped by like three Decepticons, when Sam Witwicky was there and he turned it around, I was hyped. You know what I'm saying? I was lit. I was right there. I was like, yeah, get him, Optimus. You know what I'm saying? On the edge of my seat, right? And I was like, after the Decepticons, basically. You know what I'm saying? Screw them. We're not rocking with them, right? But then I got older and I started to question, like, why are Decepticons evil? And why does that man Megatron have beef with Optimus that bad? Like it's kind of obsessive. Now, I'm not even gonna lie, I struggled to find who to make my second video about. And I'm not even gonna cap to y'all, to be honest. I mean, my second video was gonna be about Gohan, and I was just gonna go, talk about his character and all of that good jazz and all that. But I decided to put that on the back burner for now, and I'll probably get to that video later down the line. I have a few things that I actually want to talk about before I get into Gohan now, like Full Metal Alchemist and Doctor Doom. So we'll get to him later on for any of my DBZ fans. My five viewers that's gonna watch this. If you like Gohan, I'm sorry. He's coming though. He's coming. All right. So back to Transformers. Now at the beginning, you basically got Robot God, and he created like all the bots, and he was making them. And what would happen was some bots would get a name and they would have a purpose. They were meant to do something. And some bots, they didn't have a name or a task that suited them. Like they weren't given a quote unquote purpose, right? So what do you think happened to these no name bots who are the lowest of the low? Basically the bots on Cybertron said F them. Like if you were on Cybertron and you were a lower class bot and you didn't have a name, you were enslaved. The only way for you to survive was to go work in the mines and do manual labor. And even then it wasn't a choice. They were forced to go on there. It was either that or become a gladiator bot, which Megatron was. Megatron was a gladiator bot. Now you may be asking yourself, why in the world would anybody choose to be a gladiator? Well, first, money, but secondly, being a gladiator bot was the only way that any lower class bot with no name could get any form of medical attention. If they needed parts to replace their own, the only way for them to get it was to be a gladiator bot and kill other gladiators and take their parts. Like, it was absurd. Now, as I stated earlier, Megatron was a no-name gladiator bot, but he was famous for winning his matches, because for Megatron, that was the only way for him to be heard. And he won so many matches that he got his own name, Megatron, and that's where his name comes from. It's actually Megatronus, but it's shortened to Megatron. And it was because of this he was able to speak out for the equal rights of lower class bots, because as long as he kept winning, people were willing to listen to what he had to say. Like, he became an inspiration to lower class bots. He rallied a following which would later on become the Decepticons that we know today, right? So here's where Optimus Prime comes in, right? So you have Megatron, who's winning his matches. There's this bot who gave himself a name. He's lower class, winning, all these matches, amassing a following, speaking out for the rights, for his people. And Optimus, whose name was actually originally Orion Prax, he hears about Megatron and he wants to get in on it, right? He's a middle class bot, and he's like, you know what, Megatron is kind of right. So he hits up Megatron, and they actually become friends, and they're allies for a while. And Megatron kind of takes him under his wing and starts teaching him about the horrors that lower class bots have to face. After joining his crusade to free his people, Orion Prax and Megatron eventually got so famous that they were able to get a meeting with the High Council. Now, the High Council is basically like the world leaders, right? They're called the Proms, and they're very corrupt people. We already know this. Like, they do not care about the lower class bots. So Megatron and Optimus were both given an opportunity to give a speech in front of the High Council, right? And Megatron gives his speech, and coming into this as a no-name lower class bots, the High Council, they were already biased. Like, they already wasn't rocking with bro as soon as he stepped into the room. So basically, his speech, he wanted to tear everything down and start anew. He wanted to take the power from the High Council because, like I said, they were corrupt. Now, when Orion Prax gave his speech, he proposed a solution in which the High Council would be able to keep their power. So obviously they went with Orion Prax's idea and they made him a Prom, and this is what turned Orion Prax into Optimus Prime.
Rise, Optimus Prime, for you are the leader of the Autobots. You are the last Prime.
So after offering more of a political change that protects the power of the High Council and being named a Prime, Megatron was not happy at all with Optimus, because to him it was like he had worked so hard, he had done the heavy lifting, he was the one who began all of this, and he crawled his way up to the top just for him to get in this spot and be denied the role of a Prom in favor of a middle class bot who ultimately didn't understand the struggle like he did, who didn't have to work like he did to get into this position, right? And people like to say that it was jealousy, but it wasn't that at all. He just was highly upset and felt that Prime had used him to get to where he's at now and become a Prime. Like, he felt like Optimus Prime had used him for power. And some of y'all not gonna like this comparison, but imagine a black activist works really, really, really hard, and a white dude comes up and is like, hey, I like your cause, and he joins in with you just for him to become more recognized than you and to take the leadership role over you. Like, you can't tell me that's not a little bit crazy. I would be mad too if I was Megatron. And Megatron was so infuriated that over time, due to the pain and anger, he had lost sight of his original goal, which was to get freedom for his people. And it just comes across as him being evil to be evil if you don't have the context to how he got to this position in the first place. Like, a lot of lower class bots became Decepticons, right? And these are bots who just wanted freedom and equality. And to them, Megatron was that light, which is why they follow and ride for him so hard. Because Megatron was the first person to ever really step up and show, yo, we can change. Like, we can be different. We don't have to be lower class. For him, he was that, that guy, and I understand them wanting to continue to follow this man, even though sometimes he's just evil. He just does evil things. And I understand how they can be blinded by their loyalty due to said factors involved. The Decepticons aren't just evil, and the Autobots aren't just righteous. There is a moment in the comics where an Autobot comes across a Decepticon in a cave who was crushed by a boulder, and they actually have a little heart-to-heart talk in which the Autobot immediately assumes that the Decepticon is evil, deceitful, can't be trusted, destructive. And they talk about how, as a Decepticon, he literally just wanted equality for his people. He sees his fellow Decepticons as not just soldiers. He sees them as friends and family, just like the Autobots do. When the Autobots kill one of the Decepticons want revenge, just like the Autobots want revenge when the Decepticon kills an Autobot. And it's kind of a cycle to the point where it is spiraled out of control, and that they aren't so different. Like, there have been multiple Autobots who have been evil. There have been instances in the comics where an Autobot has been a cannibal. Like, that happened twice. That's crazy. Maybe I'll go and find the panels and, you know, put it up in the YouTube video. Future me, if you edit that in, hey, good for you for not being lazy. But yeah, that's crazy that happened like twice. That is wild. But even when you look at the High Council, what they did to Shockwave was crazy. Shockwave is, you know, one of the more prominent Decepticons who is very evil. But he wasn't even like that originally. Originally, he was a stand-up guy. He was a scientist. He was very smart and brilliant. He was actually an Autobot at first, until he decided to help out the Decepticons. He wanted them to, you know, have equality. He was housing, you know what I'm saying, lower class bots. And the Hall Council was not rocking with that. So you know what they did to this man? They kidnapped this man, took out his emotion modulator. So basically he has no emotions anymore. Took that man's face off and took his hands off. All because he was helping lower class bots. These lower class bots have a right to be angry at the Autobots, who are middle to high class bots who don't understand what they went through, who are all biased and just see them as monsters or villains. And I hope that this video was able to give you more insight to the Decepticons, and, you know, show to you that they aren't just, you know, mindless murderers who like killing just for the sake of killing. And if we're being honest, you know, if I was a Cybertronian, I'm not gonna cap, I would probably align more with the Decepticons myself. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all have a good day. Peace.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their power.